I'm so excited to share the stage with both of you today. Oh my gosh, it's been a while.
It has. It really has. It
So
has.
today we are talking about getting out of your own way. I am so excited about this topic. You do not even understand. So excited. So, we've had a couple live discussions when we did our in the journey of in the valley of transition, talking about our experience as entrepreneurs, getting started on the path to entrepreneurship from being an employee. We talked about serial entrepreneurship, going with Miss Carrie, doing different things. So I'm really excited today to talk about some of those things that we do to hold ourselves back. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Jannelle Hurst with Legacy Rose Company. We provide furnished short-term housing in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. We help owners and investors with their property management goals, especially those starting short-term, Airbnb, with how to get started and help also manage your properties. And go ahead, Miss Carrie, and if you can introduce yourself, followed by Sheree.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here with you ladies today. I am Shakara Carrie Yvonne Vardaman, the business brand strategist. I help entrepreneurs and small business owners to get online, get more clients, have more free time, and be happy.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad to be here with you, ladies. My name is Sheree Reed. I am the patient care strategist. I help healthcare organizations, schools, professionals, and students alike develop those interpersonal skills that's really, really conducive in healthcare today. So we actually go to schools and different organizations in that effort.
Awesome. Welcome. Well, I love this topic. So, my first introduction to this Les Brown quote was back in undergrad. In freshman orientation, they handed out these planners. And in a daily planner, there were quotes for each day. And one of the quotes was from Les Brown, "You are your own stumbling block on your road to success." And that quote honestly has stuck with me throughout my life, even to today as I transition from being a corporate employee to entrepreneurship. There are quite a few obstacles. And I found myself, even doing some of those, being my own stumbling block a few times. So I wanted to talk about that today, some of those self-sabotaging behaviors or habits that we may have and how that impacts us in the entrepreneurship journey. So whoever wants to start with their example, jump on in. Let's go to Sheree. I know you are currently back in school, working, doing the side hustle. So you have a lot going on.
So much on the plate.
Yes. How has this shown up for you? And
well, it has been a constant challenge. I'll say that. We have to learn to choose our words wisely, right? So I won't say struggle, I'll say challenge. And it has been one of those things that I had to constantly work on my mindset. So as we all know, that you want to actually continuously work on your mindset. That's key. That's basically the foundation of going anywhere. Mentally, physically, your mindset is going to control that outcome. So you want to start there. So for me, it's been working on my mindset continuously. I've mentioned previously learning how to meditate and get in your zone of no matter what outside forces come your way or inside, right? We have this, of course, on the topic that we're speaking on today, you can be able to equip yourself to, combat those feelings, those thoughts, and the outside forces. So working on that mindset is key. Meditation has been very powerful for me. And, I've heard previously throughout the years, Um, my brother is a personal trainer, so he's been big on it forever. But exercise, I did not even think about how powerful exercise could be. And when you actually incorporate exercise on a routine basis, it does tremendous wonders for your mental capability, your stability, your mood, your motivation. Like it really helps out, as well as eating the right
Absolutely.
things. So we'll start there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Eating right, working your mind. You mentioned the mindset, your mind, your body, all of it comes into
Yeah.
play. I love it. What about you, Miss Carrie?
I love it. I love that how Sheree really emphasized on getting started by investing in you, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be one of the biggest stumbling blocks for a lot of us is that we're investing in everyone and everybody's time and giving our time to everything but the investment and a time that it takes to help us keep a good mind, a good bodies. And so I can appreciate that. For me, I think one of the biggest stumbling blocks to me really budding as an entrepreneur and really getting in my lane was paying attention to the thoughts and ideas and opinions of other people who had
Mm,
no idea about the vision that I was given, who hadn't been on the road of what I was trying to do, especially if you're in a trailblazing space. There's
mm,
not going to be anybody before you. There's not going to be a pattern. And so one of the biggest stumbling blocks for me was not trusting my own instincts and
Yes.
listening to people along the way who really didn't have an idea about what it was that I was trying to do or envision or what my vision was like. But it was also, it doesn't mean that you don't listen to people. You have to listen to people who have been in their own lane or who blazed their
Yeah.
own trail to kind of have an
yeah.
idea of what it is that you're trying to do. So one of the biggest stumbling blocks was what I call the first line of defense. Listening to my family and friends who really wanted to just keep me safe and secure and make sure I was going to be all right, but it's not conducive to being a risk taker. Those relationships. So
Mm,
that was one of my biggest stumbling blocks in the beginning. Was just learning to get to a space where I was clear about the voice and the vision and the picture that I saw for myself. And even if I had to stand alone, going that road and walking the road, standing alone in that single-mindedly and single-handedly at some points, to keep moving in the path and the direction that I needed to go in. And so, and I'll say another one for me was belief.
mm,
You know, you believe and you see, you have a vision, and you see that the possibility of it, and you begin to envision things for your life. But then there's moments along your journey where you say, did I really see what I said? Or what happens is your circumstances look diabolically opposed to what it is that your vision tells you your life can be. And so you can get sidetracked a lot of
yes.
times by looking at what's going on circumstantially versus what the vision is and what the big picture is. And so that encouragement for yourself and just really getting to a place where you believe, even if nobody else believes, those have been things that I've had to find myself overcoming.
Yeah, I agree. Sheree touched on mindset earlier when she talked about, being your own, getting out of your own way. And for me, over the years, one of the things I have had to work on is not second guessing myself, right? Which again starts with that mindset and not only being confident, but being sure of your confidence in what you bring to the table, your value. And some of that is that imposter syndrome that creeps up, right? Like, who am I to be here in this space, successfully doing what I do in this space? But standing your ground, like you said, Carrie, and being that strong voice, listening to that strong voice, having that strong mindset, not to say that you are not going to second guess yourself, because sometimes those questions are really imperative to ask yourself first, so that you have that answer and you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that yes, this is my path, this is the decision for me, for my business, for my family, for my kids. you know and you touched on, Carrie, sometimes you're not putting yourself on that priority list. As a mom of two kids, I know firsthand, of you're always thinking about the needs of your kids, your family, your job, the list goes on, right?
Yeah.
Before you come back around to self.
Yeah.
But like Michelle Obama says, you have to put yourself on your own priority list, right? So make sure that whatever your priority list is, yourself, self-care is on there. What your hopes, your dreams, your goals are on there. And one thing I would say, to combat that habit of second guessing yourself, is to reinvest in yourself, whether that is in education, so that you are more confident in the knowledge and information that you're giving, or getting a mentor, getting a coach. Read books. There's so many books on every and any topic that you can think of in this day and age. You can go to the library. There's books that you can stream live, right? And just listen to it in your car. I started doing that. My forte, my field is real estate. So I'm reading books and listening to educators and mentors in the field of real estate and property management, but especially in real estate investing, so that I can continually sharpen my knowledge on what's going on in the industry, on the terminologies, the technologies, things like that. So that's one example, of things that we can do, that self-sabotaging behavior that we engage in. Another one is procrastination, which is a constant thing. I feel like we're always working on being better and doing better and procrastinating less, or, being more intentional about how you show up in the things you do. Carrie, you look like you're itching to say something here. Come on in, jump on in.
Yeah. I am a recovering procrastinator. Believe it or not.
Procrastinator, I love it.
Well, and the other part of the other part of that is that that perfectionist syndrome. Sometimes wanting to get things right, which is why my mantra has become done is better than perfect. Because sometimes in your perfecting, you procrastinate in getting things out. And that was another big stumbling block for me in a lot of times in terms of getting things that I wanted to get done, is that I wanted them to be perfect. I want them to be just right before I presented them. And I had to learn that you get the perfection is in the process. You gotta work it out while you on the way. If you're not on the way, you in the way. So it's gonna be a stumbling block to you if you're not moving and making something happen and creating the momentum that you need to get what you need done. So I have to always say I'm a recovering one, because there's that perfectionism that tries to creep in with my work a lot of times. But again, I created a new mantra for myself. Goes back to mindset. We're talking about mindset, where I have big letters. Done is better than perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to that.
And to piggyback on that, yes, like just get in there, dig deep. And to follow up to that, I want to add, make a list of your strengths and weaknesses. Right. That has been a big indicator for me. I tend not to dig deep when I have weaknesses, right? Things that I need to do that are my weaknesses. Everybody knows I am not tech savvy, right? That is not my strong suit. So I tend to not be creative in my content, knowing there's a need for it, just because I'm afraid of the tech part of it, right? So what you want to do there is make a list of those strengths and weaknesses. That way you can focus on your weaknesses, okay, and get help, or focus on your strengths, rather, excuse me. Focus on your strengths and get help with those weaknesses.
Yeah.
So help can be from friends that may have skill in that area, if you don't have very much funds, and excuse me, look into Upwork or Fiverr to actually get on the tech side of that. So
I
Love it. I love it. Focus on your strengths and
mhm.
get help on your weaknesses.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
I had to type that, write that down. Focus on your strengths and help on your weakness. So
Mhm,
important to know your strengths and your weaknesses so that you can identify when those behaviors start creeping up. Because, like you just said, if it's a weakness, you may procrastinate or put it on the back burner, or tend not to show
Really.
up in those
right,
moments because your confidence is not so strong,
exactly.
because it's not a strength for you, it's a weakness. So
Mhm,
being
mhm,
able to be self-aware and know yourself and how to identify, okay, this is technology is not my strong point, and I'm
mhm,
pushing this to the back burner because
mhm,
I don't want to do it. But how can
mhm,
I still get it done? Because it needs
mhm.
to get done. But like you
Exactly.
said, that's a great resource. Get on Upwork or Fiverr, hire someone, outsource, right?
Yes. Mhm, mhm.
Outsource those items so that you can still keep that momentum going in your business, on your entrepreneurial journey. So you're still hitting those milestones for
Mhm.
sure.
Yes,
I love it.
definitely,
I love it.
definitely.
Um, any examples specifically you want to give, Carrie, of how a self-sabotaging behavior has cost you in your business on your entrepreneurial journey?
For me, the first thing that pops to mind or comes to mind has been the time that I've lost not
Mm,
trusting my instincts, not listening to, um, for me, and I have to give a little pretext to that, is that I worked a job way too long when I
Mhm.
knew whenever you're showing up to the company earlier than the boss, leaving later than the boss, you have a different kind of mindset. You have a different
yeah.
sort of, makeup. And so I would work on jobs, and I worked on jobs just doing a little something for something. And then a lot of times I would have jobs and I just wanted to work my shift and then go out to do what I was doing on my side, the side hustling thing, helping entrepreneurs, what I do now for free because I loved it so much and wanted in my job. They'll see your leadership skills, they'll see your business savvy, and I fought and spent so much time. I didn't want to be the supervisor, I didn't want to be the man. Finally I said, you know what, if I'm going to be here 8 hours, I might as well be the manager. But for me, it took me so long to realize that I was a job creator.
Mm,
I'm a business person, and so whereas my jobs were great training for me for customer service, and I recommend it for anybody. As a matter of fact, some of the training I got, I should have been paying for it. But sometimes we stay too long in a box that you don't fit in. And for me, I just did not fit into that box. And so it became a stumbling block for me because I wasted so much time, where I knew instinctually, and I think I shared on another time we were talking, and I'll never forget this, is that I worked on a job and they were having issues with losing call volume. And so we were saying, okay, we need to get our call volume under. So a couple of us decided to come in early to get it under under control. So I ended up being let go from a job for coming in too early.
wow.
And I'll
Wow.
never, you wrap your mind around that. It's when something is just, when it's your time is up, and when it's time for you to move on and do what life is your calling. You get your
Hmm.
calling in life, you got to answer. Because even if you don't
Yes.
answer, things will happen that'll push you into the space that you're supposed to occupy. And so I'll say, for me, Jannelle, the biggest example was, for me, staying on a job too long, being putting myself in a box that I did not belong in.
Yes.
And just really because and mine totally was because of listening to my first line of defense. What about that good job you have? What you gonna
Yes.
do? You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
for me, that was my biggest. The biggest thing was spending so much time wasting time listening to other people when I had the instincts to move into what it was that I was called to do. But
Oh
it
my
all
goodness.
works
I
out,
love
and
that.
it all works out.
I love that. I have a similar story. When I first, this is years, over a decade ago, I was in a job and I knew I had outgrown that company, right? I had
Mm-hmm.
reached the
Mm-hmm.
point where there was no higher for me to go. I went back to grad school because there was nothing else for me to do. I had reinvested in my education and still stuck there because it was comfortable.
Mhm.
It was the paychecks were coming. I was bills were under control. I was traveling. I was doing life, and it was just
Mhm.
a really comfortable place to be. And I got comfortable being comfortable. And I knew
Mm-hmm.
everything within me, it was time to leave. It was time to stretch and do better, go further with my career. But I stayed there, and in that similar, if you don't make the decision, life will happen and it will create itself for you to move on
Mhm.
to your next chapter. But I want to
Yeah.
give Sheree a chance to speak on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Any examples you've had where, that self-sabotaging behavior cost you in your career or your life or in your entrepreneurial journey?
So I have a habit of, I had a habit of every 2 years move to another job, right? Everybody knows that being in a
Mm-hmm.
job too long does not benefit you, it benefits the company.
Hmm.
So if in healthcare in
Mm.
particular, moving every 2 years ensures your pay scale is, or your pay
Increases.
rate is what
Yeah.
it is supposed to be. I
Mm.
have worked alongside for people who stayed at a job 20 plus years and making maybe 20 cents less than them. They've been there 20 years. I've been there
Mm.
too. So it's one of those
Mm.
things that you have to continuously work on. And then the last few years, I got out of habit of doing that, right? So the job before the most recent job, I was there 7 years. And in that time, I was going back to school for MRI, to get my MRI certification.
Hmm.
And so that was reason for me to stay put. But I had a similar story with you, Jannelle. There was a supervisor job position coming available for my shift. And I knew who was in the runnings for this supervisor position.
Hmm.
And I knew how they worked. And I knew that it would not be conducive for the shift or the department for them to have that position. So I did the same thing. If I'm going to be here, I'm going to make the best
Mm-hmm.
of it, and
Mm-hmm.
get some things ironed out of being comfortable. And then I went and did what Carrie did. I said, you know what, I'm going to apply for this position. If I got to be here, I might as well manage it,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
I applied
Right.
for that position. And after being in that position, because I ultimately got the position, I was there 7 years, and then went on to another job doing MRI, what I went back to school for, and been there 6 years.
Mm.
So I had got out of habit of making
Mm.
sure I'm moving around, making sure that I am in, at least for that title, being paid what I'm worth in that title.
Hmm.
But after that, in learning that I'm still not getting paid what I'm worth,
Wow.
I need to make sure that I'm able to challenge myself. And that's how, I've come to where I am now with the entrepreneurial journey. And it's been helpful to talk to myself
Mm-hmm.
continuously and read
Mm.
different resources. So I want to touch on a couple of resources that has helped me. along the
Absolutely.
way, and making sure I do that. In previous video, I mentioned a psychologist, a well-known psychologist by the name of Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
He has tons of videos online. He's a professor, Canadian born, and I have a couple of his books that I feel are very necessary in making sure you're tapping into who you are first, because you cannot keep putting band-aids on, oh, let me just do this, let me just do that, let me just do this, when you don't know yourself. Get in
Yes.
tune with yourself. Then you can
Yes.
kind of outgrow and outdo some things that you were meant to do. Because if not, you're going to struggle with that. So one of which is Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules
12
for
Rules
Life.
for Life. Yeah.
Very, very great read. Oh my gosh, very great read. And then to follow that up, he came with another book, Beyond Order. So very important read as well. And in that process of getting through and moving past your own stumbling blocks, we have Indistractable. Making sure you guys can see the title and the book here.
Yep.
So get these books, and we've all said it before: read, read, read. And I'm one that has never been big on, in my past, I never was big on reading. I did incredible in school academically. I just never was great on big on reading. And once I adopted that habit, it changed the game for me. It really, really did. So make sure you invest in yourself, and you do that by getting resources to help your mindset, help you out conditionally. That way you can focus on the goal at hand, and that's becoming, getting out of your way and becoming the best entrepreneur you can be.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing those resources. Definitely helpful. And it's important to, like we talked about today, when you allow those self-sabotaging behaviors to continue, you lose a lot of time. We showed a couple examples of that when you stayed longer in a situation that you needed to be, or not operating in your purpose. You lose a lot of time, and then you're using up resources that could be going towards furthering investing in yourself. And it doesn't have to be in entrepreneurship. It could be in your next career move, like your example, Sheree. You use that time to go back to school for MRI tech and then moved into that position. It could be transitioning from one career path into another, investing in yourself. If you know that it's time to move on, you know when it's time to move on. You feel it in every fiber of your being, and when you don't start acting, external forces start acting on your behalf. All of a sudden, your 7-year career where you've had smooth sailing, glowing reviews from everyone above, now you're starting to nitpick the little tiniest insignificant things are becoming huge issues now. So recognize those and act on it, and put together a plan of action, whether that is getting some self-help books, downloading some reading material, getting a mentor, going back to school. But don't ignore those signs. Don't ignore those signs. If you are a person that tends to second guess, again, reinvest in yourself, educate yourself, strengthen your knowledge on the topic at hand, especially if you're trying to go into a entrepreneurship journey on that, whether it's real estate, healthcare, what have you, just go ahead. Go ahead, Carrie. It looks like you want to add something to that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by the strategy that Sheree used to change every 2 years, and making sure that you're in step with your pay scale. Because I'm a big proponent of, as much as I'm my favorite is entrepreneurship. I'm a big advocate of it, but I'm also a proponent of employment training, because it does prepare you for whatever you want to do, whether it be a career or even in entrepreneurship. But I love that if you utilize employment, because you guys may mention that, after a few years, it's going to benefit the employer, not you. If you strategize to make sure that your employment strides or grooves are making you better, I think that's an excellent strategy as well, while being in the
Yeah.
workplace as you're moving into
Yeah.
what it is that you want to do. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing that, because that's a great strategy for anyone who's seeking to either move up in their career or either move on into entrepreneurship and into the entrepreneurship lane. Have a plan, have a
Absolutely.
strategy, be strategic about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I believe in that too. Not only does it help with your finance, like increasing your pay, but your skill sets, right? When
Mhm.
you move, you're gaining, exposing yourself
Mm-hmm.
to and picking up additional skill sets that you didn't have in that previous position. And it doesn't mean you have to leave the company. You can move around within the same
Yeah.
company and just try different positions, get a different title, different skill sets, um, to add to your resume. So it
Yeah.
absolutely benefits the employer by you expanding your skill set, and it benefits you by expanding your skill set and your income and your network. Right, as you move to different positions within the company or even different companies, you're expanding your network of people and connections that you have now available to you. And you will hear
Mhm.
people say your network is equals your net worth, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely, those are definitely things to keep in mind in your toolbox, and in to include in your strategy for moving through career and or entrepreneurship. So
Yes.
we're coming
Understand.
up on our half an hour mark. Any parting thoughts you ladies want to leave on getting out of your own way, stopping
Yes.
those self-sabotaging behaviors and
Yes.
tools to move forward? Go ahead, Sheree. We'll start with you.
Just before my parting words, I want to make sure that people are addressing their hard truths. Okay.
Yes.
The hard truth is of the matter is you're playing it too safe. You're playing it too safe. So you're wanting to stay there at this position or in this job too long, and you need to move, right?
Mhm.
Or you simply just you need to adopt the policies and read more. Of course, we've already said that. Read
Yeah.
more. Okay, those are the hard truths. So making sure that you actually know that this lane is for you. The entrepreneurial lane is for you. So
Mhm.
read in the area that you're looking to get into, or your professional, the policies, the blueprint of what it is to be in that lane, and see if it's for you. If it's not a fit, then look at something else.
Yep.
So just make sure you actually do all of your due diligence. Um, I'll leave with this. The biggest risk is taking no risk. So you
Yes.
know that
Yes.
you
I love
already
that.
know what it's going to be if you don't make the move. You know what that is, right? You know what that is when you don't make the move. So let's take that step and actually get out there and see what that is. Put in the work. This is your life, your livelihood, and you're going to live with it. So
Mhm.
just know the biggest risk is taking no risk.
Yep. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
There
I
you
love it.
go.
Love it. Love it. Such great nuggets. I love it, Miss Sheree. Always dropping gems on us.
Awesome.
And Miss Carrie, we'll move to you next.
Yes, well, we started with a quote from Les Brown, who is actually one of my mentors. I actually got to hear him on a tape that my mom had from a graduation that he had. And it was something that motivated me to actually decide to move out of Michigan. And then years later, I
Oh,
would
wow.
actually meet him and he would actually become my mentor. And so there is a poem that I used to listen to when I was in Detroit as a youth, about 17 years old, that I wanted to share with the audience today. And it just
Please,
reminds me
please.
of, sometimes this is what. All right, so it says, if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it. If you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength, and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold nor poverty, famine nor gout, sickness nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and dim and grim you beseech and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. Go forth. And I listened to that daily, and I was on the move. So
I
Les
think
Brown was
Love
great
that.
motivation for me.
Yes. Love it.
definitely
Love it.
earned some snaps on that one. I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Very
think that's an
powerful.
important thing to mention, right? What we say to ourselves matter. And I
Oh,
love that you
Yes.
said that's a poem you read to yourself and a tape that you listen to on a consistent basis, because what we pour into our mind, which is why we talk about reading and reinvesting in yourself, is really important. But at the end of the day, the most important is what we say to ourselves, right?
yes.
That's,
Yes.
I think, is the most important thing we can do to help overcome some of those self-sabotaging behaviors and habits that we have formed around ourselves and our progress, and that with hold us back from success and moving forward in our careers, our companies, our journeys in entrepreneurship, in life, and just being aware of what we're putting in, what we're digesting, and how we apply it to our
Yes.
lives, right?
It's
Yes.
funny. I was thinking about how I would listen to a Les Brown tape like Biggie say, I let the tape pop till my tape stop. You gotta pay attention to what's going on in your ears.
Yes.
I had Les Brown in my ears.
Yes. Yes, you
Awesome.
have to.
Awesome.
That is great.
I love it. Again, such great nuggets of information. I hope that this is helpful to someone else that is going through the transition of career move, entrepreneurship, small business, what have you. Resources and tips to help you overcome some of those self-sabotaging behaviors. I am Jannelle Hurst with Legacy Rose Company, and so happy to be here with my friends Shakara and Sheree as we talk about getting out of your own way, getting out of your own way on your road to success so that you can keep pushing forward, keep building on that momentum, keep showing up for yourself every single day, keep putting in those positive self-talk into your daily routine, even if it needs to be a sticky note that you put on your mirror of a motivation. You know, one of the things we do is pick a mantra for the week, right? Last week, my mantra was dig deep and go further. And boy, let me tell you, I needed that mantra to get through the week. I was dragging. I was so tired mentally, right? And I had to push myself. I started working out recently, and I really had to hold on to that mantra to get through the week and show up for myself in that area. So whatever it takes, I encourage you, find it. And as Sheree said earlier, focus on your strengths and get help for your weaknesses so that you can keep going and showing up for yourself and keep building on that legacy and be successful in whatever your goals, dreams, and determinations are. So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you guys again next week. Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.